Hey, my name is Leanne, and I'm fascinated with helping women navigate how to eat, move, and care for their bodies. This has taken me on a journey from vegan, keto, high protein to everything in between. I'm a small town holistic nutritionist turned 3-time international bestselling author turned functional medicine practitioner, offering telemedicine services around the globe to women looking to better their health and stop second-guessing themselves. I'm here to teach you how to wade through the wellness noise to get to the good stuff that'll help you achieve your goals. Whether you're seeking relief from chronic ailments, striving for peak performance, or simply eager to live a more vibrant life, this podcast is your go-to resource for actionable advice and inspiration. Together, we'll uncover the interconnectedness of nutrition, movement, sleep, stress management, and mindset, empowering you to make informed choices that support your unique health journey. Think of it as quality time with your bestie mixed with a little med school so you're empowered at your next doctor visit. Get ready to be challenged and encouraged while you learn about your body and how to care for it healthfully. Join me as we embrace vitality, reclaim our innate potential, and discover what it truly means to pursue healthfulness. Welcome back to the show. Today we're diving into a topic that might just explain why your body isn't responding the way that it used to, like no matter how healthy your habits are. If you've ever said to yourself, I'm eating clean, I'm moving my body, I'm doing all the right things, and it's still not working, this episode is for you. And it's all dedicated to bioactive precision peptides. Now, this is a tiny amino acid chain that doesn't just nourish your body, it really instructs your body to do stuff. These are messengers, like think of them like whispers to your cells. They're like, go in there and they're like, I have a message for the cell, do X. And the cell's like, okay, got it. They really tell your body how to repair, how to recover, how to reset that traditional supplements just don't do. So I wanted to dedicate an entire episode to bioactive precision peptides, what they are, how they work, the growing science on them, because it might just sound like a hype thing, but the science behind these molecules is solid. And not a lot of people are talking about them right now. It's growing really fast and it's really exciting. So here's why all this matters. Once we hit our 30s, most of us start to lose about 1% of muscle mass every year, 1%. So by menopause, that decline can accelerate up to 5%. It's usually 3 to 5% per year we're losing of our muscle. And it's not just muscle. We also lose our metabolic flexibility through that muscle loss, our hormone balance, our resilience to stress. We get more inflamed due to this. We recover slower. We start noticing symptoms that don't match the effort that we put in, like going back to I'm doing everything right. Why is this not working? And it's not your fault. I think so many of us think, well, if I could just do XYZ, if I could just get back to that program that I did in my 20s or 30s or before I had the baby or just after I had the baby, if I could just do XYZ. Modern life, hormonal shifts, aging, they change how our cells respond. And we don't just need more of the same stuff. We need better instructions. And that's the bioactive peptides. So this is where they come in. They're used in medicine and they have been used in medicine for decades, but it's only just recently that they seem to be more and more available, safe, effective, and coming in oral forms that you can take from plants. So in this episode, we're going to unpack the science of how bioactive precision peptides work, how they signal in your body, how inflammation and muscle breakdown start earlier than you think. We're going to talk about why metabolism and mood are more connected than we've ever been told, how specific peptide formulas are helping women regain energy, strength, mental clarity, even during perimenopause and postmenopause. So I wanted to make this episode for the lady that's curious about bioactive peptides and wants to just learn more, frustrated that what they're doing isn't working, or just ready to stop guessing what your body needs. Like how often I onboard a new client and they're taking 20 different supplements And they're like, well, I heard it here and this does that and this does this. Da, 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 da. But what our bodies need is instruction. How all this came about actually was I started playing around with injectable peptides like BPC 157. I did some sermorelin, a couple of others, VIP, KPV, a couple of things. And I thought this would be so cool if we could allow everyone to take this. Like if everyone was just comfortable taking needles and we could all just like do this. And this is so cool because peptides will instruct the body on a specific pathway. So for example, there's a peptide that will go into the body and say recovery. There's a peptide that will go into the body and say insulin regulation. There's a peptide that will go into the body and say lesser sensitivity to blue light. And there are these short messages that get sent throughout the body, through the cells. This is not like taking a vitamin C capsule. This is not like taking probiotics. They're more targeted, and that's why there's precision to this. So let's get into it. I want you to imagine that your body is a complex communication network. Like, let's think of your body as a city where each cell is its own house. And inside every house is a family trying to figure out what to do next. Should we grow? Should we repair? Should we clean up damage? Should we rest? And the cells are like, I don't know. What do you think? To each other in this little house cell. So bioactive precision peptides are the text message that gets delivered to the house or a phone call that delivers the instructions of what that house should do next. So a bioactive peptide is a short chain of amino acids, usually anywhere between 2 and 20 amino acids. So, when did we learn this? Like grade 6, maybe? Proteins are made up of amino acids. Amino acids, like think of tryptophan is an amino acid, or glutamine is an example of an amino acid. So we're looking at shorter chain amino acids, usually between 2 to 20, that does something active in the body, that text message that gets sent in. It's not just to provide fuel. It's to signal a change of environment. Think of them like switches that can flip on healing, turn off inflammation, or tell your muscles to start growing again. Like literally, if you think back to that image of your entire body is this city and every cell is a house, that house can get the message, it's time to grow muscle. And why that's important, what we talked about previously, when we are losing muscle, we lower our metabolic flexibility, we screw up our hormones, and we can't handle stress. So imagine if we could send a text message to the cells and be like, hey, we need to start building muscle. And all of a sudden, our hormones are better. Our mood is better. Our metabolic flexibility is better. Our ability to handle glucose or carbohydrates is better. You see where I'm going with this? Way better than, I think I'm just going to take a probiotic and see if it helps with XYZ. No, ma'am. It's 2025. We are sending an absolute message to the body. This is what we're doing. Next question. So let's go into another analogy because I love these. It's how I learn. I hope it's how you learn too. If amino acids are like letters, then peptides are like words, and the proteins are like sentences. Okay. So if a protein is a sentence, the peptide is the word, amino acids are the letters. So you can see it goes from big protein to peptide to amino acid, right? So proteins are made up of many peptides, long, complicated chains that need to be digested and broken down. Peptides, on the other hand, are already in short, powerful forms, almost like pre-written messages. So some of these messages, when they're released at the right time, can trigger healing, improve immune function, reduce blood pressure, stimulate collagen production, all good things. So you've probably heard of collagen peptides. Okay. This is often marketed for like skin, joints, hair. You've heard me talk about collagen before. In fact, a lot of the not dangers of collagen, but like the collagen market has blown up. It's way overdone. And there are effective forms of collagen. And then there's just all that other stuff. Most of the collagen out there is going to act like a building block. Think of them like bags of bricks. Your body might use them, but there's no like guarantee that the body will use them. And they don't tell your body what to do. Whereas bioactive peptides are different. They're functional. They're the messengers, not just the materials. They're not the bricks. They are the project manager of the project. And they're like, hey, body, do this. And they can either be endogenous, meaning that your body makes them naturally, or they can be exogenous, meaning that they come from outside sources like food or supplements. So what's fascinating is that many foods, especially protein-rich foods like legumes, dairy, fish, seeds, basically anything that has protein, contains encrypted peptides. But your body doesn't always unlock them efficiently. So that's where modern science just is so flippin' cool. Especially companies, like we're going to talk about some of the companies specifically geared toward this. And one that I've really locked in with is a company called Make. And they use AI to build enzymatic hydrolysis to unlock specific peptides that your body can recognize and use immediately. So they're basically like looking at the best function, grabbing those little snippets, those messengers, and then putting them in an oral matrix, like a protein matrix that allows us to take these peptide structures internally, orally, and have them work immediately on the cells. Mind-blowing. So bioactive peptides function primarily through cell signaling. So they bind the receptors on the surface of the cells like a key fitting into a lock and trigger a cascade of responses inside the cell. And that's why when we're talking about bioactive peptides, it's essential to make sure that our electrolytes are on point. Okay. Because if they're not, the inside to outside of the cell situation and the signaling is going to be reduced. So some of these structures will upgrade genes involved in growth or repair. Others will downregulate inflammatory pathways like TNF-alpha, which is one of the key drivers of chronic inflammation and age-related disease. You hear about this all the time. People are talking about TNF-alpha left, right, sideways, and inside out. So here's the kicker, okay? Because these bioactive peptides are so small, they can be taken orally and are fully bioavailable when they're placed in a protein matrix. So they can survive digestion, enter the bloodstream, and make it to their target tissues. That is huge. Again, if we think of collagen peptides, they're the bricks. They go in the body and they're like, what's up? Let's build stuff. These are totally different. Bioactive precision peptides, they're like, hey, body, you're going to XYZ. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the XYZ throughout this episode. We'll see how much we get through in an hour. I have so much to share with you on this. So this means that if we can take these bioactive peptides orally, we don't need injections. We don't need IVs. Okay, we can get this level of cellular communication through something that is as simple as a daily supplement. And in fact, some of them even you just add to water. Okay, so here are some key concepts to keep in mind as we're talking about bioactive peptides. There's a couple of features. One is that they are able to be available through oral application. So they're carefully engineered to be resilient to stomach acid, digestive enzymes, and all of that so that they can actually make it into your bloodstream. Total win. A lot of supplements won't do this. Then we have the receptor binding. Each peptide has a unique shape and charge to it. So when it fits into a cell receptor, it triggers a response like flipping a light switch. Okay, so again, if we think to that analogy of your body is a city, the cells are a house, okay? These keys are going to all the houses with those locks and going straight in. And another key concept to think of when you're thinking about bioactive precision peptides is that there's a gene regulation component. So peptides can influence your DNA's behavior, not like changing your genes, but turning on certain genes and turning off others. So this is how they help regulate inflammation, support mitochondrial function, or even improve muscle repair. So this is the difference between passive nutrition and active signaling. What a lot of us are doing is the passive nutrition approach, and it's just not working. So most supplements are like, here's some calcium. Good luck using it. If you don't have enough magnesium, ha ha ha. Or even glutathione or vitamin D. Vitamin D is a great example. Here's a bunch of vitamin D. If you don't have enough magnesium, great. Right? Like it just, okay, cool. Awesome. But bioactive peptides say, hey, body, start building muscle right now. Hey, body, reduce inflammation now. Turn on recovery now. Protect the brain now. And the body's like, yes, sir. Okay, absolutely. I will go in the camp of that as opposed to, I don't know, let's see what happens. Okay, I want to talk too about why this matters so much for women over the age of 35, because this is the age where all those there's like subtle changes, and it's so funny. It really does happen at 35. Okay. I just turned 39, and I think of 35 to 39, it has been a big shift. Muscle mass, energy, metabolic rate, mood resilience, they really start to stack up. And peptides might just be the most elegant, science-backed way to intervene through all of that. And I do say elegant. They have an elegance to them. As I'm like going through the research and digging in, I'm like, this is elegant. I would go with elegant. I think that that's a great word for it. Lean is a unique peptide-driven formula focused on helping women regulate hunger, reduce visceral fat, and stabilize insulin without wrecking hormones. Unlike GLP-1 drugs, which force appetite suppression and often lead to muscle loss, Lean supports leptin signaling, ghrelin balance, and glucose metabolism naturally. Clinical results show up to a 10% reduction in fat mass with no impact on lean tissue. The peptides in Lean also support mitochondrial biogenesis and metabolic rate, important for women navigating hormonal fluctuations. Here's what Rena, age 47, had to say. I felt more in control of my hunger, even during the luteal phase. I lost 9 pounds, but more importantly, I finally broke my plateau without burnout. If your body feels stuck, like it's working against you, Lean is the signal reset for your body. You can click the link in the show notes to reclaim your metabolism with science that works for women, or go to healthfulpursuit.com/make. Now, every order, if you set up a subscription, you're going to get 10% off for the first couple of months and 20% off ongoing after your third month. And all of my customers receive my personal phone number where we can text back and forth and talk about the impact that these peptides are having on your fat metabolism, your hormones, and your appetite. Again, that's healthfulpursuit.com/make, or check out the show notes for the link. Okay, so let's talk about why this matters so much. Because, okay, if you're feeling like you're doing all of the right things, like eating clean, taking the supplements, doing the workouts, but your body like still feels foggy, stuck, stiff, or maybe you're even at the point where you're like, I am so overwhelmed, I can't even, and it's just, you need a lifeboat at this point. It's not that you're broken. It's that the biological environment inside your body is changing. And how much energy, time, and money do we spend trying to get back to that thing that worked 5-10 years ago? And it's changing oftentimes dramatically. And most mainstream health advice isn't actually addressing the change. They're addressing what's shifting, but they're not addressing the change that's occurring. So let's start with muscle, because I really do think that should be on everyone's mind, absolutely, at all times. So muscle loss starts way earlier than what we think. So around age 30 to 35, women start losing about 1 to 2% of muscle mass per year. And that adds up fast. And by your 50s, you could have lost 10 to 15% of your muscle. Without even noticing, until suddenly strength, posture, and energy starts to feel different. And this isn't about how we look. And I understand feeling tight and toned and all that stuff is so great. And I agree with you. I love that I don't have nibbly bits that go over top of my jeans because I lift. And, now I take the bioactive precision peptides, and that's absolutely helping. I notice especially with my recovery and my focus and my mood. I would say recovery, focus, and mood, at least right now with where I'm at and what I'm taking. And we'll get into the stack that I'm using and why I'm using it and all that. So muscle is your metabolic engine. It burns glucose. Okay. It supports hormone function. It buffers blood sugar swings. It even supports your immune system. It's one of the most protective organs that we have as we age. And if you think of that aging parent or that aging grandparent and their inability to support themselves physically is usually due to a lack of muscle. And when we start to lose it, this cascade starts happening. Your metabolism slows down. You gain fat, especially like the deep inflammatory kind around the midsection. Your blood sugar becomes harder to regulate. Your mitochondria has an issue, like your energy producers start to underperform. Then your recovery is terrible. So this is why when we say things like, my workouts don't work the same as they used to. I used to do XYZ and I felt great. And now it doesn't work. So let's switch gears and talk about the hormone piece. So by your late 30s, I'm here right now. I definitely can sense that my hormones are changing, and perimenopause is like, I'm teetering on the beginning stages of it, and it can last just like puberty for so long. By your late 30s, perimenopause can already be happening. So if your periods are still regular, that's great, but they can start to ebb and flow. Like, one cycle is heavier than the other, and one cycle has more cramps than the other. One cycle has, more breast pain than the other, and things are wonky. Your estrogen starts to decline, sometimes like super subtly and sometimes like crazy rapidly. And estrogen doesn't just affect your cycle. It also plays a role in your mood via neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. It's going to affect your sleep through its impact on GABA and melatonin. We see this so often. I know that 90% of the ladies just perked up. Like, what? Sleep? My sleep sucks. GABA? What? Melatonin? Yes, please. Estrogen will also affect inflammation because estrogen is a natural anti-inflammatory. It will also affect insulin sensitivity. So the less estrogen you have means it's harder for your cells to respond to insulin, which leads to higher blood sugar and fat gain. So is the answer throwing in more estrogen? Usually not, in my experience. Yes, there are individuals who need estrogen support, but just bringing in estrogen isn't enough. And you know this. You've experienced this. Many of you have experienced this. You're like, okay, I finally got the estrogen. Life is about to get better. And we go on the estrogen and we feel a little bit better, but there's still mood stuff. There's still sleep stuff. There's still inflammation. There's still an insulin problem. There's still mitochondrial issues. There's still energy problems. So this is why fatigue, anxiety, weight gain, feeling off in your late 30s or 40s, like early 40s, like comes out of nowhere. And you're like, what the? So let's talk about protein. You've likely been told like to eat more protein. It's everywhere. And people say like eat protein to combat the muscle loss. And that's not wrong, but protein is a raw material. It's not an instruction. So think of it like this. If you dump a pile of bricks on your yard, like you could build a house with it, but you'd still need like a blueprint, a contractor, a plan. So what these peptides are is they're the instruction. They tell your cells what to do with the protein. So they say, hey, muscle cell, build. Hey, immune cell, cool the inflammation. Brain over there, fire more clearly. Like that's literally, they are the drill sergeants. Okay. So as we age, we lose some of that like instruction naturally that these bioactive peptides really bring in that function that we need. So on top of that, as we're aging, our digestion becomes like less efficient and our ability to break down and utilize amino acids decreases. This is why I'm always talking about bringing in essential amino acids, like always talking about it. So even if you're eating enough protein, your body might not be translating that into the cellular response that you need. So this is where bioactive peptides shine. They're targeted, they're active, they're designed to survive digestion. They deliver messages directly to your cells. So for women over the age of 35, especially those navigating literally everything I just mentioned, including like stress-related burnout. This kind of intervention is powerful because it doesn't leave the guesswork up to the body. It gives direct instructions to what you want. Okay. So it's like giving your body a reminder of how to function at its best. Preserve lean muscle. Check. Downregulate chronic inflammation. Yes. Support brain and nervous system. Absolutely. And they do it while working with your biology, not against it. Okay. So we've covered a lot already. Oh my goodness. I still have so much to share with you. But if you're like, where do I get these? How does it work? I'm going to go through it like super quick and then I'll talk about more of it later. Okay. So if you go to healthfulpursuit.com/make, these are the bioactive precision peptides that I've chosen. There are a couple to choose from. I'm going to talk about what they're good for and all of that in more depth later. But for now, I'll explain each one just high level. Okay. So FIT boosts metabolism and helps maintain muscle health and longevity. This is by far my favorite one. It has the strongest instructions of the things that we need. Lean supports fat loss, targets visceral fat, and helps regulate hunger without muscle depletion. Amazing stuff. Energize delivers clean, sustainable energy without crashes. Focused engages cognitive function, improves oxygen flow to the brain, and protects from blue light damage. Little tip here, focused is incredible for ADD. Now, there are 2 support products that aren't peptide driven, but support the peptides. So the FIT, Lean, Energized, and Focused all contain peptides. And we'll talk about what kind of peptides, what they're doing, but this is just overall high level overview. Hydrated supports rapid cellular hydration. Remember, we were talking about those keys, right? This is essential for muscle and nerve function, but it also allows for that cellular permeability and the movement of the peptides through the structures. Then you have Calm, which promotes relaxation and emotional balance by boosting serotonin and dopamine, easing brain overstimulation. So you have the 4 peptides, FIT, Lean, Energized, and Focused, and then the 2 supports, Hydrated and Calm. Okay, so you can find out more by going to healthfulpursuit.com/make. There are a couple of collections on there that you can look through, or just the individual peptides, and we'll get into what they do in a moment. Okay, so we've covered what peptides are, why they're so powerful. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about how they're made. So most bioactive peptides don't start out in their final form, right? They're like hidden or encrypted inside full proteins found in foods like plants, legumes, dairy, eggs, fish, that sort of thing. To extract them, we need to use a process called enzymatic hydrolysis. So that's basically like a fancy way of saying we use enzymes to break apart long protein chains into shorter active fragments. Okay. So these enzymes mimic what happens during digestion. So it's like breaking it all apart, but under a controlled lab condition. Oh, I would love to be part of all of this, like in a lab doing this. Fun fact, I was centimeters away from becoming a chemist and last minute decided I didn't want that to be my major. So these enzymes, again, are going to mimic what happens inside of our digestion, but in a controlled like lab process. So we can target the release of specific peptides that we're looking for. It's kind of like unlocking a treasure chest inside of your food. So you're like digging and like only like instead of finding the gold, we're finding like a functional molecule that tells your cells what to do, that drill sergeant. So here's where things get really, really cool. Not every peptide is bioactive. To do something in the body, a peptide needs 3 things. It needs the right sequence of amino acids, the right structure and charge to bind to the cell receptors, and then the right size to survive digestion and be absorbed properly orally, okay? So bioactive peptides tend to be short, between 2 to 20 amino acids, because that's like the sweet spot for absorption and stability. So if they're too long, they're going to break down. If they're too short, they're going to lose specificity. Okay, so they need to be the right message, not too long, not too short, just right. Okay, so there's shape and charge, which is also important. So a peptide must match the electrochemical structure of a receptor to bind and activate it. So kind of like a molecular handshake. Like, you do the turkey dance, you turn around and you do the thing with your hand, and then you're allowed in. So this is not collagen powders or any random protein peptides. Okay. This is a totally different field, way more specific. Most of these are going to be random fragments, not targeted messengers, literally just hoping for the best. So I was sharing with you the 4 different peptides from Make. The Fit, which boosts metabolism and helps maintain muscle health and longevity. The Lean, which supports the fat loss. It works really, really well for insulin regulation and hunger depletion, like hunger management. Energized helps with energy, obviously, and Focus helps with the cognitive function. Okay, so let's go through the actual peptides because it's not the peptide Fit. Okay, with Fit, it's something called PeptiStrong, and PeptiStrong is a clinically studied plant-derived peptide complex extracted from Vicia faba, also known as fava bean. So if you have a fava bean allergy, don't do this. But it was developed using AI and machine learning to scan through trillions of potential sequences to find the exact peptides that would do 2 things: stimulate muscle protein synthesis and inhibit inflammation, especially TNF-alpha, which is the major culprit to aging and fatigue. Okay, so again, that PeptiStrong peptide has 2 goals: to stimulate muscle protein synthesis and to inhibit inflammation. AI found 2 that hit the mark when they were going through the fava bean. So we have the first peptide, which is HLPSYS-PSPQ. Could you imagine if the product was called that? The other peptide is TIKIPAGT. So I'm glad we went with Fit because that's a lot easier to say. So with the HLP one, this one triggers S6 phosphorylation and activates the mTOR pathway, which is the master switch for muscle growth. We want the mTOR. Studies have shown that it increased protein synthesis by over 50% in lab models without requiring massive amounts of protein intake. And this is such a struggle. Not necessarily for me because I love protein. I have no problem eating it all. But I would say 90% of people have a hard time. Every time I increase protein for a macro client, they're like, okay, this is literally my full-time job, is making sure that I get enough protein. And it's not reasonable. It's not feasible for the person that has a regular life to do this. And so we want to activate mTOR. We want to build muscle. We want to stimulate muscle protein synthesis, but ain't nobody got time to eat 170 grams of protein a day. So this helps do that without requiring massive amounts of protein intake. Then the TIKIPAGT, this peptide targets inflammation, specifically the TNF-alpha. So this is a key cytokine involved in aging, immune dysfunction, muscle breakdown. Okay, so it lowers the TNF-alpha by over 55% in stimulated macrophagy cells. So together, they form this duo that supports recovery, reduces soreness, and helps preserve lean tissue, even under stress, inactivity, or hormone shifts. Yes, absolutely. Do we understand? I get so fired up because this is so cool. Do you understand how incredible that is? What I'm saying is you can trigger mTOR pathway and muscle protein synthesis by not working out. You can activate recovery, reduce soreness, and preserve lean tissue, even when you're stressed, even when you're having hormone swings. These peptides aren't just active, they're protected, they're proactive. So again, now, anytime that I'm sharing this, if you're like, I love this idea, I want to try it, there's going to be a link in the show notes. You can check it out. If you have questions, you can message me on Instagram, or you can go to healthfulpursuit.com/contact and ask me. But all the details is on the page, healthfulpursuit.com/make. We're talking about the Fit peptide first. Well, the Fit supplement, which contains the 2 different bioactive precision peptides. Yeah, you follow me? Okay. So in their natural form, peptides are often unstable in the digestive tract. But in PeptiStrong, which is the combination of the 2 peptides, the HLP and the TIK, et cetera, So they're kept within a protein peptide matrix. Basically, think of it like a shield of additional peptides that protect the actual sequences from being destroyed by stomach acid or enzymes, so they get exactly where they need to go. So this matrix ensures that they survive digestion, they cross the gut lining, they reach the bloodstream, and that's where they can bind to the receptors and signal the cells and do their job. They can be that drill sergeant. It's like having a smart delivery system built into the molecule. Okay, so the bioavailability here is such a big deal. We're talking about oral peptides, no needles, no infusions. This is how they're always done in the past. Just smart plant-based signaling molecules that your body can recognize and use. So we're talking about the Make Wellness Fit, supporting muscle retention, strength, anti-inflammatory resilience. And we're not like, this is incredible. This is clinically backed, machine identified, human tested peptides with a delivery system designed to work with our biology. Yeah, so cool. So cool. I personally take this product. I love it. There's a whole bunch more that we still have to go through. So here's a question that a lot of people ask me when it comes to peptides and supplements is, do they work orally? And that's a fair question because a lot of us have experiences or heard about peptides where we have to take them via injections and not in capsules or powders. And traditionally, that was true. Like many of the therapeutic peptides had to be injected. But with the bioactive peptides, especially with Make, we're working on a different class of molecule. Okay, so let's get into a little bit around the science and how these peptides are absorbed. And I'm going to put on my nerd alert glasses for a minute. So there are 4 main routes of absorption that allow the peptides to cross from your digestive tract to your bloodstream. So that, let's just get into it and I'll explain as we go. So PEP-T1 transporters are specific proteins found in the small intestine that actively transport di- and tripeptides. So these are short peptides made of 2 or 3 amino acids. So they're like shuttle buses that carry the peptides straight into the circulation. Then there's the paracellular transport. So this is when peptides squeeze between the tight junctions of the cells in the lining of your gut. So these junctions are selective. So only small hydrophilic peptides can pass through. But when they do, they bypass a ton of digestion. Then there's the transcytosis. So this one's so cool. It's kind of like FedEx. So peptides get engulfed by like intestinal cells that then carry it through the cell in these little vesicles, like throughout the body. And then they're released on the other side. So it's like, whoop, and then they take them through. I just love thinking about like FedEx in the body. Yeah. So this is often how like the larger or the more hydrophobic peptides are absorbed. And then there's passive diffusion. So if a peptide is just the right size and charge, it can actually diffuse directly across cell membranes. And this route favors the positively charged and the hydrophobic peptides, kind of like how oil can spread through a paper towel, right? Like it kind of shifts. So all these methods are used to some extent, depending on the peptide structure in the environment. And the more the stable, well-designed peptides, the better the chances are that it'll make it through the other side. So like, are they stable enough to pass through? So we've talked about the fact that this is in a protein peptide matrix and there's specific amino acid sequences like proline or threonine, which increase the peptide stability in harsh conditions. So the HLP, SYS, PSPQ, so the inclusion of multiple proline residues makes it naturally resistant to enzymatic degradation, which is just so incredibly interesting. So clinical research has confirmed that these peptides survive simulated gastric and intestinal digestion. So when they are consumed, they maintain their structure into human plasma for 8 hours. Okay. So it does all the little things that I shared, and then it gets into the body and it goes all through the bloodstream, 8 hours. And this is why we're seeing the results we're seeing. Like The photos I have on my computer of clients and their hair changing. And in fact, I'm going to read some of these. I actually send them to my WhatsApp to post on social media, and I haven't gotten around to posting all of them. I'm going to open up my WhatsApp and literally read these to you. So this client is on lean, hydrated, fit, and calm. It's going great. I wake up with ease, have energy throughout the day. And again, calm about an hour before bed is a blessing. Then this client is on lean, hydrated, fit, and calm. I started taking the protocol on Wednesday, and I received this message on Saturday. I can say I do feel a little bit more energetic. I also wear a continuous glucose monitor, and my blood sugar has lowered by 10 to 15 points since Wednesday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4 days. 4 days. This client is on fit, lean, calm, and hydrated. I have lost over 5 pounds in 2 weeks. I still have mad sugar cravings, which are a constant struggle, and I'm even sleeping better, which is huge because I suck at sleeping. So with this client specifically, when it came to sleep, we went through a couple of things, and that's what I'm all about. So the next one is a client that's on fit, calm, and hydrated. No, I mean, I just feel better when I wake up. Usually I'm so groggy before I drink my coffee. I'll get a little boost after that. This morning I woke up and I realized I felt refreshed without my coffee. That's awesome. I received this from a client. She's been on it for 2 weeks. She's on lean, hydrated, fit, and calm stack. Oh, and an extra bonus. I'm down 6 pounds since I started taking these products. Okay, here's the last one. This client is on lean, hydrated, fit, and calm, feeling good after just 2 weeks. I'm really excited. The scale is staying about the same, but me and my husband have noticed changes. I've been exercising a while without really noticing many changes, but the last 2 weeks, I feel like I can already see a change. Thank you so much for your help. Oh, that makes me so excited. I've been using MitoPure for over a year, and I can honestly say it's made a huge difference in how much I'm able to take on both in and outside the gym. After my workouts, I recover faster, feel less fatigued, and have the energy to keep up with everything else on my plate. MitoPure works by supporting cellular health at the foundation, promoting renewal with a precise dose of urolithin A to recharge your cells and clear out the old dysfunctional ones. Whether your goal is to regain energy, build strength, or simply feel more confident in your skin, MitoPure is the perfect partner for your journey. It's clinically proven to combat age-related cellular decline, and I can feel the results every day. For January only, Timeline is offering 33% off your first order. Don't wait. Unlock your potential with MitoPure today. Go to timeline.com/KDP33. That's TIMELINE.com/KDP33. Okay, so let's talk about the lab synthesized peptides versus the plant-based peptides. And I want to talk a little bit more about we've talked in depth about the fit. I want to cover focus, lean, and how to know which one is best for you if you decide to trial some of these. So lab synthesized is often fragile in the GI tract, so you have to take it IV. It requires cold storage. Let me tell you, I traveled through Europe with my peptides. It was such a pain to keep them stable. It needs to be administered under medical supervision. A lot of the different peptides, because they're therapeutic level amounts and things, you have to have a prescriber, and it gets very expensive. The specific peptide I trialed was $300 a month for just one, and it could only be stable for 1 month, and it was a micro dose that I had to take with 2 others. Like, the cost was about $900 for 1 month, and I was like, absolutely not. Which makes it expensive and therefore expensive and therefore inaccessible. So by contrast, the plant-based peptides that we're talking about, they're naturally occurring. They're selected using AI for optimal bioactivity. They're stable and absorbable when paired with the right matrix. And that's why I am telling you, a year from now, this is going to be insane. And companies are going to be saying, yeah, bioactive peptide, totally. But they're not going to be in a matrix, and they're not going to be able to be absorbed because they'll be killed by your stomach acid. And these plant-based peptides are far more accessible for everyday use and far more easier to take with you traveling and in your day, and you don't have to worry. And they're way less expensive than the alternative. And they have very, very similar results, and they're not at therapeutic levels. So, okay. Let's talk about the product breakdown, what they're going to do. We covered FIT, which is built around the Pepti Strong. So it includes the HLP peptide as well as the TIKI peptide. And so again, those are going to stimulate mTOR. They're going to trigger muscle protein synthesis. They're going to lower TNF alpha, reducing inflammation and preventing muscle breakdown. So FIT helps preserve and rebuild lean muscle, even during periods of low activity. It's going to boost mitochondrial function. It's going to help with recovery from training, illness, stress. It increases NAD levels, which is essential for cellular energy and longevity. If there is one peptide that I think everyone should try, it's the Pepti Strong blend. Absolutely. So think of FIT as being a good fit for you. If you're wanting to tone up, stay strong, support metabolic health, hair growth is also a big one with this one. Okay. Then we get into lean. So lean supports body recomposition by regulating appetite and targeting visceral fat. So it works by modulating ghrelin and leptin to support healthy hunger cues. And it mimics GLP-1 activity naturally to enhance satiety and blood sugar control. Okay, so unlike a GLP-1 drug, lean protects muscle while encouraging fat loss. So particularly around the midsection, like when I have a client that's like, oh, my belly, I'm doing everything, it ain't working. This is the one that I generally recommend. It's perfect for breaking through weight plateaus or supporting metabolism through perimenopause. So if you are focused on fat loss and curbing cravings, that's lean. Okay. Then we get into, let's do energized. So it's designed to support dopamine balance for motivation, mood, and energy regulation. It's there to support ATP production at the mitochondrial level to combat things like fatigue. So it's great for women experiencing afternoon crashes, motivation loss, mood instability from dopamine swings where you're like, whoa, you get it. So it restores mitochondrial efficiency while supporting the mental drive needed to tackling everything that you have going on without being overstimulated. So the reason I got into it was kind of strange, totally a God thing. I got into bioactive precision peptides because a friend told me about them. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll try them out. Oh, this is really cool. Let me try it on a couple clients. Whoa, they're having really crazy results. Wait a minute. Their hair is growing. That's awesome. They're losing weight without changing anything. Oh my goodness. And the more I dug into it, the more excited I got. I don't know if I have a favorite, but I have seen, it's hard because even when I was going through the summaries with you, like lean, hydrated, fit, calm, lean, hydrated, fit, calm, fit, lean, hydrated, calm, like they're all kind of doing the fit, lean, calm, hydrated. So I don't have a ton of experience using the energized because it's like lower priority, but I'm curious if you try it, how it goes for you. So let's go to calm. So calm is a nervous system formula. Again, it does not have peptides, but I find it absolutely essential as you're addressing things like muscle protein synthesis and regulating ghrelin and leptin and helping mitochondrial function. You also need to chill out. Okay. So that's what calm is there for. It enhances GABA signaling. So this is your calming neurotransmitter. It supports vagal tone. Again, it supports vagal tone and parasympathetic activation. In fact, calm with focused, that combination has been so powerful for nervous system regulation. I am loving it for my clients who are so sensitive that they can't handle stuff. And calm will actually help to regulate the HPA axis and help with its resilience. So this is ideal for individuals that are looking for stress recovery, sleep support, anxiety or irritability around hormone shifts. Here's how I take calm. Whenever I'm overwhelmed or anxious or just like I've had it for the day, I will put this baby under my tongue. It's just a packet. You add it to your mouth, you let it dissolve, and you literally see yourself calm down. So hydrated is another one of the products that does not have peptides. So it goes far beyond the standard electrolyte, combining glycine and electrolyte minerals to enhance mitochondrial hydration. Again, because we're using peptides and we need them, your cells to be healthy and moving things, sodium, potassium pump, basic, biology. we need to make sure that we have the proper balance of electrolytes. And that's why when I'm reading through all of these testimonials, hydrated is in all of them, absolutely every single one of them. Hydrated is there, lean is there, fit is there, and calm is in like half of them. So with hydrated, it's going to help with cellular hydration, help with nerve signaling. It's far higher in potassium than other electrolyte forms. I was finding with Element, with a lot of my clients, they were starting to get really bloated on Element. And so we switched them up to hydrated, and I've seen far better results. It also helps with the transportation of the peptides and the absorption of those peptides. Remember the cell structures that we talked about earlier. It also helps with enhanced recovery from exercise, heat, adrenal depletion. Surprisingly, hydrated, and this goes for most electrolytes on the market, when we are dehydrated, when we don't have a proper electrolyte balance, we're going to have a harder time sleeping. So sleep is also on that list. Okay, let's talk about focused. Focused is all about cognitive clarity, protection, and memory. Okay, it supports BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, to help with learning and brain repair. It increases cerebral blood flow and reduces oxidative stress in neurons. This is why I believe that focused with calm is such a great nervous system regulator. So this is my go-to for brain fog, nervous system recovery, perimenopausal cognitive decline, focused, and memory performance under pressure, ADD. You get the idea. So each product supports a specific need. Just like I was saying, they're the drill sergeant. You want your brain to have more blood flow so that you think clear. That is the directive that your body is going to receive with focused. You want your body to have more energy, no afternoon crashes. That's the directive that it's going to get with energized. Okay. The other product, lean. You want your body to break down visceral fat, regulate appetite. That is the directive that it's going to receive, in addition to like insulin regulation because of that, which is so cool. You want your body to be told, hey, build muscle. That's what fit is going to tell your body to do. And then again, we have the calm and hydrated to support those. So as we wrap this up, I am actually so surprised we got through everything in an hour. This is fabulous. You need better instructions. Your body needs better instructions. And for most women, especially over the age of 35, it can feel like your body is absolutely betraying you. You're doing the workouts, you're eating the meals, you're following the protocols, and nothing is changing. And the only thing that is changing is that you're like working harder and hating your body more and just like so frustrated. It's absolutely totally not your fault. You just need a drill sergeant in there to be like, you, this. So it's not a failure. It's just a shift in your biological process and how your biology responds. So the signal that once told your cells to build, recover, burn fat, calm down, they're not as bossy. So the bioactive peptides can help restore that bossiness that your body needs and give your body the language it needs in this elegant way, like how to grow, how to adapt, how to heal. This is not about overpowering. It's really partnering, like on a cellular level, that handshake, boop, 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 and then it lets you in. So this is not a forcing. It's like a facilitating. And what the changes that I've seen with Make products from September to now is incredible. Like I was not expecting my clients to have these sort of results. And when BioCell went out of business, I had been actively sharing the Calm product, the hydrated product, just starting to get into sharing these publicly. And your trust in what I share is very important to me. And I wouldn't share this and be this excited about something that I hadn't looked into so fully and felt so excited over what these signals can do for your body in the long run. What I believe most bodies need is the right language to our biology. And that's what these peptides are meant to do. And that is just so cool. So if you decide that you want to try these peptides and say you purchase Fit and Lean, or maybe you go full in Fit, Lean, Hydrated, Calm, and that combination, all of my customers get a text message from me personally. This is my phone. You're saved as my contact in my phone, and I text you and I just say, if you ever have questions about the product or how to use or what to add or remove or what's working, just text me so that we have that connection. I get to connect with you in that way, which I love, and I get to learn from you and I get to hear your wins, like what I shared. I love receiving those and I love hearing from you. And that's really important for me. So if you're wanting that deeper sleep, that better strength, that sharper focus, and that drill sergeant on the inside sharing exactly the messages that you wanted to receive, that's structured and not a, oh, I guess we'll just see what happens situation, then I've outlined it all. Go to healthfulpursuit.com/make. If you're unsure about how to spell Healthful Pursuit, it's the name of the podcast, okay? /make. If you're unsure of where to go, the link will be in the show notes. And I'm excited. I'm excited to continue to do this. I'm excited to share more of what I learn. I've dug deep into the research these last couple of months. I'm really, really excited about where this is going. I'm glad I have more time on my plate to dedicate to learning about the bioactive peptides, how to use them on individuals. And I'm loving the results that you all are sharing with me, and that, oh, this is going to be good. I'm excited. Okay. Have a great rest of your day. And let me know what you think about today's episode. You can hit me up on Instagram or Facebook. And I'd love to hear if you have any questions about what I shared today. Okay. Have a good one. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Healthful Pursuit Podcast. Join us next Tuesday for another episode of the show. If you're looking for free resources, there are a couple of places you can go. The first to my blog, healthfulpursuit.com, where you're going to find loads of recipes. The second is a free parasite protocol that I've put together for you that outlines symptoms, testing, and resources to determine whether or not you have a parasite, plus a full protocol to follow to eradicate them from your life if you need to. That's available at healthfulpursuit.com/parasites. And last but certainly not least, a full list of blood work markers to ask your doctor for so that you can get a full picture of your health. You can grab that free resource by going to healthfulpursuit.com/labs. The Healthful Pursuit Podcast, including show notes and links, provides information in respect to healthy living, recipes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor is it to be construed as such. We cannot guarantee that the information provided on the Healthful Pursuit Podcast reflects the most up-to-date medical research. Information is provided without any representation or warranties of any kind. Please consult a qualified health practitioner with any questions you may have regarding your health and nutrition program.